Evan Holt was a simple human traveler who moved from one planet to another, fixing machines and selling small tools. He was not rich, not strong, and not special. He only had a quiet heart and a habit of helping others when he could. On the cold evening he arrived on planet Veraran. He expected nothing more than to repair his broken hoverbike and find a cheap place to sleep. The sky above Veraran was always cloudy, filled with blue mist that glowed faintly. The empty marketplace looked sad and silent. Most shops were closed, and the wind pushed small papers across the ground. Evan stopped near an abandoned food stall and began checking the engine of his hoverbike. He was thinking about how long the repair would take when he suddenly heard something strange, very small. Weak cries. He froze. The sound was coming from behind the empty stalls. It did not sound like an animal. It sounded like children. Evan slowly walked toward the sound, careful not to step on broken metal pieces lying on the floor. When he turned behind the last stall, he felt his heart twist. Two small alien children were sitting on the cold ground, shaking like leaves. Their skin was a soft pale blue, and their big glowing eyes looked frightened. Their clothes were torn and dirty. They held each other tightly, as if the whole world was dangerous. Their bodies were so thin that Evan could see their bones under the skin. They looked at him the moment he arrived, not with hope, but with fear. Evan raised both his hands slowly, showing he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said in a soft voice. "I'm not here to hurt you." The older child, maybe 7 years old, moved a little in front of the younger one, trying to protect them. Her small voice trembled as she whispered, "Please, no more chasing." Evan felt a deep pain in his chest. Chasing? Who would chase children? He reached into his bag and took out the only food he had, a protein bar he had saved for dinner. He broke it in half and held it toward them. "You can have this," he said gently. For a moment, the children did not move. They looked at the food as if they were not sure it was real. Then the younger child crawled forward and took a small bite. His eyes widened. Hunger took over. Both children began eating fast, like they had not eaten in days. Evan sat down slowly, giving them space. He did not want to scare them. "What happened to you?" he asked softly. The older child looked up at him. Her lips were dry, and her voice was almost gone. "Mom told us to hide. She said bad people are coming." Evan's eyebrows pulled together. "Bad people?" She nodded. They took our home. They want us too." The younger child pressed his face against her shoulder, shaking. Evan felt anger rising inside him. Who could be so cruel to such small children? Before he could ask more, a sudden humming noise filled the air. Evan turned quickly. The sky above the marketplace flashed with red lights. Strange black drones, shaped like sharp metal insects, flew across the clouds. Their searchlights swept the ground, scanning every shadow. The children instantly grabbed Evan's leg, terrified. "No," the older one whispered. "They found us." Evan acted fast. He grabbed both children gently but firmly and pulled them behind a stack of metal crates. The drones passed overhead, their red lights glowing on the walls. Evan kept his hand over the children's heads, trying to make them feel safe. The drones continued scanning the area, searching for something or someone. Evan whispered, "Why are they looking for you?" The older girl hesitated, swallowed hard and said, "Because of our mother." "Who is your mother?" Evan asked. The girl looked up at him with those glowing eyes too wise for a child. "She is important," the girl whispered. "Very important. And people want to hurt her. They want to use us to find her." Evan felt cold. This was no normal situation. These were not normal children. And whoever their mother was, the whole planet seemed to be looking for her. As the drones passed over the marketplace again, Evan realized something. If he stayed here, the children would be captured. If he walked away, they would die. And if he helped them, He would become part of something much bigger than he ever imagined. Evan took a deep breath, looked at the scared children, and said the words that would change his life forever. "Come with me, I'll keep you safe." Evan Holt moved fast through the quiet side streets of Vararan, carrying the two alien children close to his chest. The drones were still flying above the buildings, their red lights blinking like angry eyes. Every time a drone passed overhead, the children tightened their grip on him. Their fear was real, deep, and far older than any child should feel. Evan knew the city well enough to avoid the main roads. During his earlier visits, he had used the old tunnels beneath the market to store repair tools. Now those same tunnels became his only safe path. He entered a narrow alley and pushed open a rusty door hidden behind a broken signboard. Inside was a dusty storage shed, small and dark, filled with metal parts and forgotten crates. It wasn't much, but it was shelter. Evan gently placed the children near a small heating lamp he kept for cold nights. "You're safe here," he whispered. "At least for now." The younger child curled up near the lamp and closed his eyes. The older one kept watching the door as if danger could walk inside at any moment. Evan sat down in front of her. "Cam, you tell me your names?" She hesitated. "My name is Leary. And this is my brother, Kio. Leary, Kio. I'm Evan," he said softly. "Do you know who is chasing you?" Leary looked at him for a long moment. Finally, she reached slowly inside her torn pocket and pulled out something small, a glowing stone, shaped like a teardrop. It pulsed with a soft golden light. "My mom said, we must give this to a good human if we ever get lost," she whispered. Evan frowned. "Why me?" "I don't know," Leary said. "But she said humans are brave. She said a human helped her once long ago." Leary gently placed the glowing stone in Evan's hand. The stone was warm, almost alive. The moment his skin touched it, the light grew brighter. Suddenly, the room filled with a soft humming sound. A thin line of light rose from the stone and opened into a floating hologram. Evan jumped slightly, surprised. Leary and Kio both stared silently, as if they had seen this before. The hologram formed the image of a tall alien woman with sharp features, glowing eyes, and a symbol on her forehead that looked like a burning star. Despite her battle armor, her voice was calm and strong. "If you see this message," she said, "my children are in danger." Leary held her breath. The woman continued, "Enemies are hunting them to reach me. They want my power. They believe capturing my children will weaken me. But I will not let them win. If you are the human holding the stone, then I ask for your help. Protect Leary and Kio until I can come for them." Her voice softened slightly. "And if I do not return, keep them safe. They are the heart of our people." The hologram flickered. The woman looked directly at Evan, almost as if she could see him. "Human, I place my trust in you. My children's lives are now in your hands." Then the light vanished. The room fell silent again. Evan stared at his palm, now empty. His heartbeat was loud. This was no ordinary mother. Her presence felt powerful, commanding. Whoever she was someone the galaxy feared. Or wanted. Leary looked at him with hope shining in her tired eyes. "Now you know why they chase us," she whispered. Evan rubbed his forehead. "Why didn't you tell me she was a warrior?" "She's more than a warrior," Leary said quietly. "But we're not allowed to say. Mom said sharing her true name can cause danger." Evan nodded slowly. He didn't need the full truth yet. He just needed to keep these children alive. Suddenly, a loud boom shook the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling. Evan rushed to the small window and peeked outside. 2 dropships had landed in the marketplace. Soldiers in black armor spread out in groups, scanning the area. One of them held a holoscreen showing the faces of Leary and Kio. Kio woke up and cried softly. Leary hugged him. Evan's voice became firm. We must leave soon. He opened his bag and took out food, blankets, and a small first aid kit. Leary watched him silently. Why are you helping us? She asked softly. Evan paused, then looked at the children. Because no one else will. The fear in Leary's eyes softened into trust. He packed quickly and opened a hidden floor panel. Under it was a tunnel that led to the old maintenance pipes. As they prepared to leave, Leary touched his arm. Mom said something else. She said the human who helps us will change everything. Change what? Evan asked. Leary shook her head. She didn't say. Evan didn't know what destiny was pulling him into, but he felt its weight now. He took the children's hands. Let's go. And in that moment, the chase began. The tunnel under the shed was cold, narrow, and filled with dust, but it was the safest path Evan could think of. A dim light from his wrist lamp guided the way as he helped Leary and Kio move through the dark passage. Every footstep echoed softly, like the tunnel was whispering their presence to unseen ears. Above them, the world shook with noise. Ships landing, metal boots marching, laser scanners humming. Evan did not need to see the surface to know the hunters were close. Leary walked beside him, holding Kio's hand tightly. Her glowing eyes kept scanning the shadows, even though she tried to hide her fear. Evan respected her. She might have been a child, but she held herself like someone born from strength. We used to play in tunnels like this, Leary whispered, before everything changed. Evan nodded. What happened to your home? Leary hesitated. The war started, but not the kind people talk about. It wasn't about land or money. It was about power, Mom's power. Before Evan could ask more, a metallic clank echoed through the tunnel, coming from behind them. Evan turned fast. The sound repeated. Then again. Footsteps. Metal footsteps. Someone was in the tunnel. Move. Evan whispered sharply. He picked up Kio, who wrapped small arms around his neck. They hurried through the long pipe until they reached a dead-end door. Evan pushed it open and entered an abandoned service chamber. Broken machines, disconnected wires, and cracked screens filled the room. Leary followed and shut the door behind them. Evan pushed a heavy tool chest in front of it. Kio buried his face in Evan's shoulder. They found us, Evan shook his head. Not yet. But the footsteps got louder. He grabbed the children and guided them toward a rusty ladder on the far wall. Up, he whispered. They climbed into a ventilation shaft that led upward. Evan closed the panel just as the door below burst open. The chamber filled with harsh voices. Scan every corner. One soldier barked. They were seen near this sector. Evan, Leary, and Kio lay still in the narrow metal shaft. Through the small gaps in the panel, Evan could see soldiers tall, wearing black armor with glowing red lines. Their helmets had insect-like eyes, and their rifles hummed with energy. One soldier lifted a tracker device. 2 small life forms, he growled. Children, their signatures match. Evan's heart raced. The soldier's voice hardened. We capture them alive. The Empress will come for them. And when she does, we destroy her. Leary's body froze. Her breath shook. Evan gently placed his hand on her back, steadying her. He didn't fully understand what the soldiers meant, but he understood enough. These hunters wanted the children as bait. Suddenly, a beeping alarm echoed from outside the chamber. A new voice shouted from a communicator. Commander, a civilian saw something near District 9. Possible sighting of a human with 2 alien miners. Evan's stomach twisted. They were talking about him. The soldiers rushed out, leaving the chamber empty. Their boots thundered down the tunnel. Once the sound faded, Evan opened the vent and lowered the children down. Leary wiped her eyes quickly, trying to hide the tears. They will never stop, not until they take us. Evan knelt down and looked at both of them. Listen, I will not let anyone harm you. I don't care how strong they are. Kao sniffed. But you're just a human. Evan smiled sadly. Maybe, but sometimes the smallest people do the biggest things. Leary stared at him silently. For the first time, she looked like a child again, not a symbol, not a responsibility. Just a scared girl who wanted to believe someone could protect her. Evan stood and opened the chamber's outer door. They walked out into a large industrial district filled with pipes, vents, and thick fog. Sirens echoed across the city. Large screens on tall buildings displayed the image of a woman, Leary and Kaio's mother. A message flashed beneath her face. Wanted, galactic threat, dead or alive. Evan felt a chill crawl down his spine. The hologram showed her in full armor, eyes burning like fire. She looked like someone who had commanded armies, someone who had faced galaxies, someone who could crush enemies with a single order. Is this your mother? Evan whispered. Leary nodded. Yes, but they lie. She is not a threat. She protects our people. She protects everyone. Evan stared at the massive screen again. The fear in the city was real. But the fear in the soldiers' voices, that was deeper. Someone with that much strength. Someone the galaxy called dangerous. And Evan was protecting her children. His path was set. He lifted Kaio and held Leary's hand. We're getting out of this city, Evan said. No matter what. The wind blew cold against them as they stepped deeper into the fog, unaware that powerful forces were already closing the net around them. The fog-covered industrial district felt like another world, cold, metallic, and endless. Steam rose from broken vents, and every shadow looked like it could hide a soldier. Evan moved fast but quietly, guiding Leary and Kaio between thick pipes and old machines. He knew the city well, but today it felt like the entire planet had turned into a trap. We must reach the outer tunnels, Evan whispered. Once we cross the power field, the scanners can't track us. Leary nodded, though her eyes were full of worry. Mom said soldiers don't enter those tunnels. They're scared of something inside. Good, Evan said. That means we have a chance. But fate did not plan to make things easy. As they moved toward a large factory gate, a sudden flash of red light blinked through the fog. A drone appeared above them. Evan froze. Leary pulled Kao close. The drone scanned the ground, and its red eye suddenly locked onto them. A sharp alarm shrieked. Targets detected. Alert units. Evan didn't wait. Run. They sprinted through the fog as the drone fired warning shots, bright beams that cut through metal pipes like butter. Evan grabbed Leary's hand while carrying Kaio in his arms. The ground shook as alarms activated across the district. Then the sky exploded with noise. Dropships descended, shining searchlights across the streets. Soldiers poured out black armor, glowing rifles moving with machine-like precision. They're everywhere, Leary whispered in terror. Evan pushed forward. Keep running. But the soldiers were closing in from all sides. One group spread out and blocked the main exit. Another group took positions on top of a metal bridge. The children's breathing grew shaky. Evan's heart pounded like a drum. He scanned the area for anything, any path, any escape. Then he spotted it. A narrow maintenance corridor half hidden behind a collapsed vent. If they could reach it, they might disappear into the machine tunnels. Over there, Evan said. They ran, feet hitting the metal floor loudly. The fog made everything dizzy. The soldiers shouted, "The children are in Sector 14. Secure all paths. The human is with them. Capture him alive." Evan didn't know whether to feel relieved or terrified that they wanted him alive. Just as they reached the corridor entrance, a soldier dropped from above, landing in front of them. His glowing red eyes locked on the kids. "There you are." He snarled. Leary screamed. Kaio hid his face. The soldier lifted his weapon. Evan did not think. He grabbed a metal pipe from the ground and swung it hard. The pipe hit the soldier's helmet, making sparks fly. The soldier stumbled. Evan shouted, "Go!" Leary and KIO rushed into the corridor. Evan hit the soldier again and again until the helmet cracked. The soldier fell to his knees. Evan dropped the pipe, grabbed the kids, and dashed deeper into the narrow hallway. But the attack had already alerted the entire unit. Dozens of footsteps thundered behind them. Lasers fired, lighting the corridor with red streaks. Pieces of the walls exploded. Evan hugged KIO tight and shielded Leary with his body as they ran. Every blast shook the floor. Leary tripped, but Evan caught her and pulled her back on her feet. "Don't stop," he shouted. KIO whispered between sobs. "They want us. They want us alive." "Why?" Evan asked. Leary swallowed hard. "Because they don't want to kill Mom. They want to trap her. They want to force her to surrender. And they think she'll come for you," Evan said. Leary nodded. "SHAKIL. Suddenly, the corridor ended in a huge open chamber, filled with giant machines and glowing cables. Energy sparks floated in the air. This was the heart of the old industrial sector. Evan knew this place. It was dangerous, unstable, and forbidden. The soldiers reached the entrance behind them, their rifles charged with bright blue light. One commander stepped forward and shouted, "Human, you cannot escape. Surrender the children." Evan positioned himself in front of Leary and KIO. "I'm not giving them to you. You are only human." The commander growled, "You cannot stop us." Evan's voice did not shake. "Maybe not, but I can slow you down." The commander raised his hand. "Fire." Dozens of beams shot forward. At the same instant, Evan grabbed the children and jumped behind a massive energy coil. The beams hit the coil instead, and the entire chamber filled with exploding sparks. The lights overloaded. Electricity erupted. Like a storm, the soldiers stepped back, blinded. Evan used the chaos to escape with the children through another maintenance hatch. They slid down a long chute, landing hard in a lower tunnel. Dust covered them. Their hearts raced. KIO cried. Leary hugged him. Evan breathed heavily, staring up at the dark opening. They were safe for now, but something strange happened. In the silence, KIO whispered, "They don't hunt us because Mom is strong, but because of what she is." Evan turned. "What do you mean?" Leary's voice was soft but full of fear. "Mom is not just a leader. She is the most powerful woman in the galaxy." Evan felt the air freeze. And now he understood. Saving these children meant standing against an entire galaxy. The lower tunnel was cold, damp, and smelled of rust. Evan held his small wristlight in front of him, guiding Leary and KIO through the endless darkness. Their footsteps echoed softly, mixing with the distant humming of machines far above. Evan knew they couldn't stay underground for long. The soldiers would flood every tunnel soon. "We need to reach the outer edge of the city," Evan whispered. "Once we're outside, the scanners won't pick up your energy." Leary nodded, though exhaustion showed in her eyes. KIO walked slowly, gripping Evan's shirt tightly. After what felt like hours of walking, they reached a hidden metal ladder leading up toward a service grate. Evan climbed first, checked the area, then helped the children climb out. The moment they stepped outside, a cold blast of wind hit their faces. They were no longer in the city. They were standing on the edge of a vast plain, covered in silver grass that shimmered in the moonlight. In the far distance, touching the sky, like giant claws, rose a monstrous cliff, the Storm Mountain, a place locals feared. Lightning danced across its surface. Thick clouds spiraled around the peak. Strange blue energy cracked like living fire. No one went near it. No one. Except the children's mother. Leary pointed toward the peak slowly, almost with reverence. "Mom told us, if something very bad happens, go to that mountain. She said she left help there." Evan stared at the raging storm circling the mountain. "Help?" he asked. "In that?" Leary nodding softly. Mom said the mountain listens to her, Evan exhaled. He didn't understand these children, their power or their mother, but he understood one thing: wherever they went, he had to follow. Wind grew stronger. Thunder rolled across the plains like a warning. "We need to move fast," Evan said. They walked into the silver grass, leaving the city's faint glow behind them. Each step took them further into danger, but also further. From the soldiers, hours passed. The sky darkened. The wind turned sharp. The mountain grew taller and more frightening with every step. Massive glowing fissures ran down its sides, crackling with bright energy. Kio shivered. "The mountain, it's angry." Evan knelt in front of him. "Are you scared?" Kio nodded silently. Evan put a hand on his shoulder. "I'll keep you safe, I promise." Leary stood beside them, watching the swirling storm. "Mom said the mountain only harms enemies. It will not hurt us if we are brave." Lightning split the sky above them, lighting the entire valley. Evan flinched, but Leary didn't. Instead, she took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Follow me." Evan lifted Kio in his arms and followed Leary up a narrow path. The wind grew stronger with every step. Loose rocks slid under their feet. Strange glowing dust drifted through the air like tiny fireflies made of electricity. Evan felt something strange, a pressure, like the mountain itself was watching them. Leary stopped suddenly. "Do you feel that?" she whispered. Evan nodded. "Yes, it's the Guardian," Leary said softly. "Mom placed it here." Before Evan could ask what a Guardian was, a loud crack shook the ground. A bolt of blue lightning struck a rock near them. The energy twisted into a shape, a creature made of pure light. Its body was tall, with 4 arms and a face like a mask of fire. But its eyes were kind. Kio hid behind Evan, trembling. The Guardian stepped forward, its glowing form flickering in the wind. It looked at Leary and lowered its head as if bowing. Leary whispered, "It recognizes us. It knows Mom." Evan stared, speechless. The Guardian opened one of its hands. A glowing pathway appeared on the mountain wall, like a door made of shifting light. Leary turned to Evan. "This is the place. This leads to the sanctuary." Evan felt disbelief and awe mix inside him. Soldiers, scanners, dropships, none of those things scared him as much as this glowing door in the storm. But he had no choice. He took a deep breath and carried Kio inside. Leary followed. The moment they stepped through the doorway, the storm outside faded. The wind stopped. The air grew warm. They stood inside an ancient temple carved into the mountain. Strange symbols glowed on the walls. Soft golden light filled the corridors. The air smelled like old stone and something ancient. Kio whispered, "Mom was here." Leary touched the symbols, and they lit up under her fingers. She didn't. "Leave us alone," Leary said. "She left us a whole world to protect us." Evan began to understand. This mountain wasn't just a place. It was a fortress, a sanctuary, a secret known only to a powerful woman the galaxy feared. He looked at Leary and Kio, small children with giant destinies, and far above the mountain, unseen through the stone, the soldiers' dropships were already searching the sky. The final confrontation was getting closer. The ancient temple inside Storm Mountain felt alive. Not in a scary way, but in a powerful, silent way, like the walls carried memories older than entire civilizations. Soft golden lines glowed across the stone floor, lighting the path ahead. The air was warm and calm, completely different from the violent storm outside. Evan walked carefully, holding Kio while Leary walked beside him, touching the glowing symbols as if they were old friends. "This place was built by Mom's people," Leary whispered. "Only her blood can open it." Evan nodded slowly. "That explains why the soldiers never came here." "No," Leary corrected. "They are scared to come here." Why? She looked ahead, her voice barely a breath. Because Mom's strength began here. Evan didn't ask more. His mind was already drowning in questions. But answers were coming soon. He could feel it. They reached a large hall with a wide circular platform in the center. Tall stone pillars surrounded it, each carved with swirling patterns that glowed brighter as Leary and Kao entered. Kao's tired face lit up with awe as the warm light wrapped around him like a gentle blanket. Mom made this place for us, Kao whispered, before we were born. Suddenly, the glowing lines on the floor pulsed once, twice, then again, faster. The entire temple vibrated softly. Evan turned sharply. What's happening? Leary stepped forward, eyes wide. She's coming. Before Evan could process her words, a loud rumble shook the hall. The golden light formed a spiraling vortex above the platform. Wind swirled inside the chamber, but not like the storm outside it. Was controlled, precise, powerful. A tall figure slowly emerged from the vortex, a woman. Her armor shimmered like liquid metal, shaped with elegant curves and ancient markings. A long cape flowed behind her like a piece of the night sky. Her hair glowed faintly, moving like living light. And her eyes bright, sharp, fierce were the same glowing shade as Leary and Kao's. Evan's breath caught. She was not just powerful. She was terrifyingly majestic. I gasped and ran forward. Mom! Kao jumped from Evan's arms and followed. The woman once feared by the galaxy knelt and opened her arms. Both children hugged her tightly, burying themselves into her. Armor, her hard expression softened instantly. My stars, she whispered, voice trembling with emotion. My brave little stars, you did everything I asked. Leary sobbed. We thought you were gone, the soldiers. They said you were dead. The woman touched their faces gently. I can never die while your voices call to me. Evan watched quietly, unsure if he should step closer or stay back. But the woman slowly lifted her head and looked at him. Their eyes met. For a moment, everything felt still. She stood slowly, her presence filling the hall with a quiet power that made Evan's chest tighten. Not in fear, but in awe. You, she said softly, are the one who fed my children. Evan swallowed. Yes. I didn't plan. You saved them when the galaxy turned its back. Her voice was calm, yet carried the weight of a queen, a warrior, and a mother. You kept them warm. You protected them from hunters. You carried them through danger. Her expression softened in gratitude. For that, human, you have my respect. Evan shook his head. I only did what anyone with a heart would do. She stepped closer. No many have hearts, few have courage. The glowing patterns on the walls brightened as she approached him. Evan felt the temperature increase slightly, like the air itself reacted to her presence. My name, she said, is Sira Velara, Sovereign Empress of Varan, and the rightful protector of 11 star systems. Evan blinked. You're an empress? A small smile curved her lips. The galaxy calls me many names, some fearful, some respectful, but to these children, I am simply their mother. Kao tugged her hand. Mom, soldiers chased us. They want to hurt you. Sira's eyes turned cold, ice cold. They want power, she said. And they think taking my children will break me. Her gaze sharpened. They are wrong. A deep hum filled the hall. The protective shields of the mountain flickered. Sira looked upward, sensing something in the distance. They found the mountain, she said softly. The soldiers are here. Evan stepped closer. What do we do? Sira turned to him with calm certainty. You brought my children home. Now I will protect you. Evan felt a warm shock inside his chest. Protect him? Before he could speak, Sira raised her hand. Light flowed from her palm like golden fire. The temple trembled as ancient barriers activated. She looked at Evan with intensity. Humans, stay close. You helped my family. Her eyes glowed brighter. Now my power stands with you." Outside, the storm roared. Inside, the Empress of the Galaxy prepared for war. Outside Storm Mountain, the world shook. Dropships circled the sky like hungry beasts. Red searchlights cut across the clouds. Hundreds of soldiers marched toward the cliffs, their weapons glowing with deadly blue fire. The entire army had come not for a battle, but for two small children and the mother the galaxy feared. Inside the ancient temple, the air vibrated like a living heartbeat. Sarah Velara, Empress of Varan, stood tall at the center of the hall. Her armor glowed with shifting symbols. Lightning danced across her fingertips, responding to her power. Lyri and Kio stayed close behind her. Evan stood on the other side, uncertain but unafraid. Sira lifted her hand. The walls of the temple opened like blooming petals, revealing a massive balcony overlooking the storm-covered valley. The soldiers below gasped. They had never been this close to the Empress they hunted. Even from afar, her presence felt like standing in front of a living sun. The commander shouted through a speaker, "You are surrounded. Surrender yourself and the children." Sira did not move. Instead, she stepped forward, and the storm itself bent around her. Evan felt the wind swirl behind her, like the mountain was breathing with her power. She whispered, "Stay behind me, all of you." Her voice was calm, too calm. Then she raised both hands. The storm roared to life. Lightning cracked across the sky, spiraling like a giant cage. Energy surged through the mountain peak. The soldiers stumbled back, shielding their faces. Dropships lost control and shook violently. The commander shouted again, "Fire! End this now!" Hundreds of beams shot upward. Evan grabbed the children and pulled them behind a pillar. But Sira did not hide. She stepped into the open air. The beams hit her and vanished. The light bent around her like water around a stone. Her armor glowed brighter, brighter until she unleashed her power. A wave of golden energy exploded from her body. It wasn't violent or deadly, it was controlled, precise. Every soldier's weapon shut down instantly. Dropships' engines died. The storm swallowed their signals. Evan blinked in disbelief. She had disabled an entire army without hurting a single soul. The battlefield fell silent. The soldiers stared up in shock, fear, and awe. Sarah's voice carried through the valley like thunder. "You came to harm my children. You came to break my people. But know this, I do not rule with fear. I do not destroy without reason. I protect." Her gaze burned. "And these children, my stars, are under my protection." The commander fell to his knees. His soldiers followed. One by one, the entire army lowered their weapons. Some trembled, some cried. Others simply stared at her with newfound understanding. No one dared fire again. Sira turned away from the edge and faced Evan. Her expression softened. "You stood against them," she said quietly. "Without power, without armor, without the mountain." Evan shrugged faintly. "They were children. Anyone would do the same." Sira stepped closer. "Not anyone," she said. "Only the rarest hearts do what you did." Lyri ran to Evan and hugged him tightly. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not leaving us." Kio hugged his leg. "You saved us." Evan swallowed hard. He had never felt this kind of warmth before, not from a galaxy, not from a people, not from anyone powerful. Sira placed a hand on his shoulder. "In my world," she said, "saving my children is equal to saving me." Evan blinked. "What does that mean?" Sira smiled gently. "It means you will never walk alone again." She lifted her hand, and the temple responded. Golden light formed symbols in the air. A crown-shaped emblem hovered above Evan's chest. Lyri gasped. Kio's eyes widened. Sarah said, "This mark grants you the highest honor of Varan. You are now guardian of the Empress." Evan froze. What? "I'm just a mechanic. "You are more," she whispered. "You proved it when it mattered." The emblem glowed, then sank into Evan's chest. His clothing shimmered, forming. New armor not like hers, but strong, simple, built for a protector. Leary clapped happily. "Evan is a guardian," Kio smiled wide. "You're part of our family now." Evan's throat tightened. Family. He had never expected that word to find him. Sierra extended her hand toward him. "Walk with us," she said. "My children trust you. And I trust you too." Evan slowly took her hand. Outside, the winds calmed. The soldiers stood silently, watching the strange human who had earned the Empress's respect. A simple traveler. A man with no power, but a heart strong enough to change everything. And as Sierra's family walked back into the glowing halls of the mountain, the galaxy whispered the beginning of a new legend, the story of a human who fed 2 starving children and earned the loyalty of the most powerful woman in the stars.